Well, hello, everyone. This is Pat Lynch, and you are listening to the Career Pathways Podcast. As always, I'm joined by my all-star team. We have Gavin Brunson, and somewhere out there in the back is producer Jayson Nichols, making the magic happen at the podcast board. And we also have a extra special guest today, Dr. Brandii Peterson.
Hello.
Oh, yes. And we've been trying to schedule her. She's a busy woman, but we tied her down, and now we're going to go and be able to ask some questions, learn all about TRIO. Yes. But before we start, Brandii, tell us a little about yourself, kind of where you're from, kind of what you studied,
Okay.
Just kind of so we get to know know you.
Gotcha. So I am Brandii Peterson. I am originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised. I am an only child. Both of my parents are the oldest of their siblings. I only have blood uncles, no blood aunts, because my mom has a brother and my dad has 4 brothers. I attended the Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I have a BA in history with an emphasis in African American studies. After that, I decided that I wanted to get my master's. University of Arkansas at Fayetteville at the time, if you attended an HBCU, to get your master's, they would give you a fellowship scholarship that would fully pay for your master's degree. So I got a master's in healthcare administration from U of A, and I had kind of did a dual program with law, but I did not want to do the law. So I just kind of dropped that aspect of things and kind of went into the workforce. I moved to Atlanta, where I worked at Tyler Perry Studios as an operations manager for several years. That was very different working for a big-time movie production company. They shoot movies during the day, TV at night. So Mr. Perry made it where you didn't have to go anywhere.
Right. We
We had a private chef. We had a trainer for the gym. So I would get to work at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't leave until midnight, 1 or so. So it was very different. I've always had a different kind of background, as far as I say different, going between my left brain and my right brain.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to do like art stuff. I grew up taking dance, ballet, tap, and jazz. I've taken dance since I was 2, from Joel Rumner, who was my tap teacher in Little Rock, and I used to call it country tap. But it was one of those things that I worked at a dance studio in Atlanta and kind of taught ballet and tap to some smaller kids while I worked at the studios on days that I had off. So later on in life, I decided to move back to Arkansas. My grandma got sick, and my dad asked me to move back here. Moved back, kind of figured life out. She passed away. I ended up moving to Texas, and I was in Texas for a while. Loved Dallas. I was a big Sharks fan there, and got to see the Mavericks play. Met just a lot of influential people there.
Yeah.
I worked at Dallas Black Dance Theater, which is the only black ballet company in the state of Texas. And so when I was there, I got to meet Marshall Faulk, who was a cowboy.
Yep.
And he kind of talked to me about Cowboy Stadium and how they built it. I went to my first game with him and his wife. So I've had like a really good life and tried to figure some stuff out. I ended up getting another master's from the University of Phoenix. At the time, you just go to the campus, and I went there and I got an MBA. Just let somebody talk me into telling me I didn't have enough education. I was like, okay. After that, my dad passed away. So I moved back to Little Rock so I could be closer to my mom. We don't have blood family in Arkansas. Right. All of our family lives out of state. So I wanted to be closer to my mom. I worked at Goodwill Industries of Arkansas, where I oversaw 27 career centers in the state of Arkansas. Was there for 5 years, started working on my doctorate at Jackson State in Mississippi. So traveled that road once a month. The program, you go once a month for 4 days, and you are strictly in it. It's a 2-year program.
Wow.
So I finished in 2020 during the pandemic, which was very hard to write a dissertation during a pandemic, but I was able to do it. I was the last one to defend my dissertation.
Yeah.
We had to do it by October 3rd, and I did mine on September 30th. And I used to say I'm the last of the Mohicans, and I was like, oh, that's probably not politically correct, but I was literally the last one to defend. Graduated via Facebook on 2020. And then we actually had our in-person graduation in May of 21. So...
Well, you know, before we get into everything around Trio, Tyler Perry. Now, I did not know that about your background. Okay, good guy. Don't want no comment.
Yes.
Tell us, you know, what, you know.
He is amazing.
Yeah.
The things that he's gone through, he's originally from New Orleans. Yeah. He's one of those people, he is not your friend. And he's not. He's your employer.
Right.
Very to himself, very down to earth. I think people want him to be something more than what they see on TV, but he really isn't. He's really like to himself. If you speak, he speaks. If he comes and asks you a question, he expects an answer. He puts on the events that he has for his friends and family. I was there when he opened the second studio, which was the old Delta Airlines headquarters, and it was amazing. I think that was the first time I met Sidney Poitier, and I got to see Oprah. And the Sidney Poitier probably was the most famous person that I met while I was there, because Ms. Perry was like, you know, don't look crazy, don't be starstruck when you see these people. And I was like, okay. And so when I saw him, I immediately put my face down and dropped my eyes like I was a little dog. And he walked over to me. He said, "No, beautiful, always keep your head held high." And I was like, thank you so much, because he's touching me. You know,
and
but
has
it was
that
just
golden voice.
Yes,
too.
he does. Very sincere, but I enjoyed my time there. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. But I respected my time there, and it went well.
Now, that the studio, was that the one where the old Ford plant was? Is that where his...
No, so the new studio is where the old Ford plant is.
The new one,
yes, that is Fort. I think Fort Myers. I can't remember the base, because it was an Army base that he bought. Right. But the one that I was there for was his second studio. His first one was on Krog, which is like Highland Park area in downtown Atlanta, where this one is more so closer to the airport. And it was the old Delta Airlines headquarters.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned how to build studios, how to make surround sound work. It was definitely a learning tool, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't think it's something I could have kept up for longer than I did, just because it's real tedious on your body, not really getting enough sleep, those kind of things. Because you working, but you know.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I just want to ask, it sounds like you've been everywhere and you've done everything. What brought you to Lyon Liberal Arts College?
So I finished my dissertation in September. I started applying for jobs December 1. I talked to the registrar. My degree had already been signed and confirmed. So I was like, she was like, you can go ahead and start applying for jobs. If somebody runs a check on you, they will see that you have a PhD. And I was like, okay, great. So I started applying. I was offered, I had an interview with Lyon. I had an interview at the University of Montana. I was like, I'm not moving to Montana. And then I had put in a couple of applications at different places. So my first interview was at Montana, and I was like, okay. And it was really nice and everything. And I was like, maybe I just need to step out on faith and go to Montana. So then I got my call to interview at Lyon. And I was like, sure. It was a Zoom call. So I was like, okay. I met with Dr. Tavener, Corey Gobble, Rebecca Sharp, and at the time, the Dean of Student Life. And so I was like, okay, so we're going to do this. So, I mean, I feel like it was the worst interview of my life. Like, literally, my clock didn't go off on time, my alarm. I woke up, my hair was everywhere, and I was, like, trying to figure out what to do. I was trying to figure out a neutral place to, like, do my interview. Didn't have one. So I have, like, a lot of African artwork in my home. And so I have all this African artwork behind me, and I was like, well, it is what it is. It's just, we're going to do this. Interview went really well. I felt like it went bad. Dr. Taverner kept saying, well, you're going to have another interview. It'll be probably 2 or 3 more. And I was like, oh, okay. 2 or 3 more didn't happen. I got a call 2 days later offering me the job. And I was like, well, can I think about it? And she was like, yeah, by the end of the week. So this probably was on a Wednesday. She's like, I need to know something by Friday. So I didn't really have time to come up here and visit. But I looked at it on the map and I said, oh, it's as big as Jonesboro kind of thing. It's nowhere else around. It's the biggest town.
Right.
No. So I came to fill out my paperwork and realized it was not Jonesboro or Little Rock kind of situation. So my mom was like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I guess I'm going to be here. And she was like, well, I hope you wouldn't quit a job because they don't have a mall. I said, I probably would have, but my maturity is telling me that's not okay. I said, I'm going to come here. I believe in youth, people going to college. I worked at Job Corps for several years and loved that environment. And I was like, I can do this when I really sat down and dug into the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you hired on as a teacher or like were you, because don't you dabble in like a little bit of everything?
I do. So I was hired on as the director of Apple, which is our Upward Bound program. It's that Upward Bound Classic program here, affectionately known as Apple. And I was offered a teaching position because they knew I had an MBA to teach human resource management. And then they wanted me to teach a special topic, so I picked diversity in HR. So, yeah. So originally I was just regular old director here. But I've enjoyed it. All the staff that I've come across have been really good. I've been able to really pour into some people. I believe in pouring into other people. This is not my end game. And so I want whoever I leave behind to really understand the legacy they have. Both Apple and UBMS, which is the Upward Bound Math and Science, are the oldest in the state. Okay. So that's important for us to keep that longevity going.
Well, you mentioned that. Oh, so Apple and UBMS are part of Trio.
Yes, so
Trio.
Trio.
Can you walk us through how that's all structured?
It's a little confusing. Trio has 8 programs. Trio is a
8, but why not 3? You know.
Yeah, it's 8. It's 8 total programs. So some of them are collegiate and some of them are pre-collegiate. Okay. They're all under the Department of Education. So you have Upward Bound Math and Science, Veterans Upward Bound, who are for veterans. Right. They're going to be your non-traditional students that maybe served in the military, went to war, those kind of things, but maybe want to go to college. Those are your 3. Those are your Upward Bounds. Then you have Talent Search, which serves 6th grade to 12th grade. You have EOC, which is Opportunities Communities, so they have different things. Then you have SSS, Student Support Services, which I hope we'll be bringing here to Lyon next year. Oh, right. And then we have 2 more, and I'm trying to get them out. ELC, Overbound, Talent Search, UBMS. I said that though, didn't I? ELC. So there are 8. I can't think of all of them right now, but there are 8.
The 2 that are prevalent here at Lyon then are Apple and...
Yeah, so we have Apple, which is classic UB, and then we have UBMS. Okay. So UBMS is the oldest in the state. It used to be a regional program, which means it had Arkansas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Missouri. Yeah. And then they changed the demographics of the program, so now they're in-state. So now the UBMS program has 8 schools here in the state of Arkansas, and then Apple has 9 schools that they serve here in Arkansas, and they're the second oldest in the state.
So with UBMS, walk us through what's the mission, what's UBMS trying to accomplish?
So UBMS is STEM focused. Yeah. So everything they do is about math and science, really getting in there to find out, what the student wants to do, how they want to learn how to do things. During the summer, we have a 6-week intensive program where they're really put into like physics, math, chemistry, biology, more so on a college level. We have college level professors teaching those courses, and they're able to really kind of hone in onto those STEM fields.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and those, the students there, they're like 9 through 12?
9th through 12th grade.
Okay.
So usually we get students that are rising 9th graders in the summertime. So they would have just finished 8th grade.
Yep.
So they're rising 9th graders. We do 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then when seniors graduate, then we have them bridge. Bridge program is where you're able to take like classes on the college level, but we're still here to kind of make sure you can make the transition easier.
Oh, and what geographic area do you serve?
So UBMS, I'm going to try to name these, has West Memphis, Nettleton, Jonesboro, Pocahontas. We now have Southside.
Okay.
So it's a range of different things. Our furthest school is West Memphis.
Wow. So that's like 2 hours, call it 2 hours away. So
Yes.
that's a pretty big geography.
Yes, it's a pretty big circle. We have Cave City, Mountain View.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of schools kind of overlap with Apple as well.
Yeah. And so then Apple, tell us about
Okay,
Apple.
so Apple is more of a classic UB program. I mean, yes, UB program. It focuses on all aspects of education. So all of these programs are low income, first generation programs. UB is a little bit different in that lane, UBMS, but UB really focuses on first generation, low income, because what they're trying to do is give those that do not have an opportunity for that extra support to get support. And so with UB, with Apple, we have Batesville High School, Southside, Nettleton, Mountain View, Melbourne, Cave City, Cedar Ridge, Newport, Tuckerman. So we serve a larger amount of kids. So there are 86 kids in that program, and UBMS has 66.
And that's the group that, like on Mondays?
Yes, Apple is here every Monday.
Yep.
We pick our students up from school, and we take them back and drop them off at school, and their parents pick them up from school. Because it's easier for parents to get to the local school versus trying to drive to Batesville to pick them up. Yeah.
And then what you hope to accomplish is just to show them that college is within reach?
Yes. So we have a lot of different programs in Arkansas. We have Arkansas Challenge, which is a huge scholarship here. And you would think, just apply. Yeah. It's free money, but a lot of students don't apply.
Yeah.
By this being considered to be a rural area, we don't have as many of the resources as a Little Rock might have. So here we're kind of able to give them a more cultural view. So we do cultural events. We've taken them to see Hamilton last year.
Whoa.
We take them out of state.
Gavin's,
They have gone.
Who was that? Apple?
Apple went to see Hamilton. Yeah.
Okay.
They went to see Hamilton. They go on trips in the summertime because a lot of families don't have vacation money. So last year we took the kids to Nashville, and then we took them to Dolly Parton. What is it?
Dollywood.
And they had a good time there.
I bet.
UBMS got to go on a trip. They went to, where did y'all go last summer? You didn't go. Okay.
No, we didn't have a trip.
Yes, they did.
No,
you just didn't go.
Because we went to the pool.
They did. They went to St. Louis because I have the pictures.
Oh,
they
you're
went
talking
to St.
about the
Louis.
final
Their
trip.
final trip.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
They went to St. Louis.
Yeah. 2 years ago, what group went
Boston.
to Boston?
Yes, UBMS went to Boston 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and it was really fun. So every year, I think New Orleans is the pick this year.
Whoa.
Really?
So they're super excited about going to New Orleans.
Gavin's on board for that one.
I love New Orleans. It is. I had a conference there. I had a conference plus my board meeting was there, which I was like, this is perfect. I'm in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. Yeah. So I went to school down there. So I have a lot of friends and family there. So it's amazing.
So, I'll call it Apple UBMS.
Okay.
They're all funded through a federal grant.
Yes, they're all funded through a federal grant every 5 years. I've rewritten the grant twice now.
Wow.
No. Yes. One for UBMS and one for Apple.
So you got to do them separate?
Yes. You write them separate. You have to send them. They grade them. You get priority points. It's a whole thing. Yeah. It's a lot of stress. That's why I said I'm about to start writing for SSS, which will be a new program here at Lyon. But it's for college. It's one of our collegiate programs. Yeah. So it'll really support first generation college students that are currently in school and help us to really support them, go on trips, take them to places, look at getting a master's degree. We want to push the narrative of education.
Yeah. My experience in the nonprofit space is grants are one of the things that intimidate me. You're giving me the look. It's like, I can only imagine and the grants we were doing were small, not like a federal level, which I'm sure this is.
It's a lot.
It's extensive.
I've written grants probably 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because you don't get gratification immediately. You have to wait to find out if you've even made it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no. And you're thinking, I've spent hours.
Yeah.
And hours. So Apple was my first grant that I wrote. They told me it didn't have to be written until 3 years after I was here.
Yeah.
Haha, joke's on me. Had to be written before the other grant ended. So I wrote the grant. I came to work every day, January the 1st through January 31st.
Wow.
And worked every day.
Getting back to, as far as Apple UBMS, you employ a lot of Lyon students.
Yes.
Yes. And kind of tell us like what kind of roles do the students fill and kind of in for both programs, how they help.
Okay. So we hire tutor mentors.
Yep.
So our tutors, our mentors, and then we also have drivers. So our tutors basically tutor the students. We have this great software platform by Mastery Prep that helps the students to take their ACT and basically figure out their areas of weakness. And so everybody gets to focus on something else, whatever their personal weaknesses are, in order to strengthen them for their score. Our mentors are here like to have fun. It's called peer-to-peer mentoring. And so you're more likely to talk to someone that you're closer to your age versus someone like me that's like a mom to them.
Or the crypt keeper.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things we want the students to feel comfortable. So the mentors, tutors are college students. So they're not too far removed from high school that they still understand what the students are going through, but at the same time can advise them and give them some advice. Our drivers, they're just drivers. They pick the kids up from school and drop them back off at school.
Yeah. And a lot of that, they see role models and they could see themselves,
Yes, and they develop relationships with the mentor tutors about like as far as not relationships.
Was this guy a role model here?
Yes, he was until he decided to take his shirt off and run around campus, and the girls were looking.
Workout session.
I ain't never seen Gavin run around this campus before, except this
I
summer.
always run around this campus.
No, sir.
Yes, I do.
And so, but yes, they really like Gavin. Like the girls really like Gavin too. But Gavin did well. He kept things very professional. No, don't edit that out. Gavin kept it very professional and was able to do what he needed to do, and we enjoyed having him during the summer.
Excellent. And you're hiring then this summer?
Yes, we are hiring again this summer. We're doing things a little bit different. UBMS and Apple will kind of merge together during the summer in order just to help the students out and to help me out. Right. It's very hard for me to go between two programs. I get here at about 8:30 every morning. I usually don't leave till 10:30 or 11, which is a lot. And then if somebody calls me because a student is misbehaving, then I have to get up and come back to campus.
Yeah.
So I'm here Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And it is a lot. Yeah. So hopefully by us combining things, we're able to get more bang for our buck. As far as people that are coming in and do workshops and talk to our students. It's more fun. I feel like it's hard for our students to be here and they've been in school all year to come here and be in school again. Yeah. That's a hard sell. But if we talk about things that they're really interested in, what is college life? What is being an entrepreneur look like? What is anything that you really want to talk about that you can really give the students good advice about, your career, your choices in life? I think it's always something that they can benefit from.
Yeah, I know my sessions just talking emotional intelligence. And
that's very important because they lack it.
Yeah, and it's just like they all get invited. You know, it's like a lot of times you have to drag like answers out, but when in that session you start asking about like what sets you off, what makes you angry. Look out! And all of a sudden here it comes, and but they learn. That's that it's how you all kinds of stuff will set you off, but it's how you handle it, how you manage it. And you said something.
Had
You got
something,
something?
Gavin?
Okay, yeah, I got two things. One to
Yeah.
piggyback off that and one to backtrack.
Yeah.
For our audience, can you explain what the first generation college student is?
So a first generation college student is when no other generations before yours has attended college. So like if your parents don't have a degree, or sometimes if your grandparents, but it usually depends. A lot of people will come from a one parent household, and that one parent might have a degree, then that's your parent has a degree. But sometimes it'll be a situation where neither parents have had a degree, grandparents haven't. My mother is a first generation college student. My grandmother has an 8th grade education, and then my mother went to college. She went to Langston, Oklahoma. So she's considered a first generation college student. And we have several here on Lyon's campus that are first gen, and we appreciate them.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
And so most of the students, if you've ever looked at the faculty and staff when we march in, they have a 1 if they're first generation. They did a program that Jen Daniels started. Dr. Daniels did basically a reception to honor them, and everybody that attended that's a first generation college student received a 1, and they all have them on their gowns, and they're really nice. I love that part about it.
Okay. And to piggyback off what Pat was just talking about, the emotional aspect of it, y'all both can answer this because I know y'all both been teachers and y'all work with kids. How do you if you don't have that mentor who is around their age, how do you bridge that gap to getting them to open up and getting them to talk? Because I remember in the summer we had a situation where I had to talk to a student and he still wasn't opening up, and you can tell that he was holding it back, but was still not opening. So how would you bridge that gap?
I think it's different with everyone. Some people will automatically cling to you. Some people won't. I have students that come to my office every day. If I'm there or not, usually they be like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm at home." "Why are you at home? Why aren't you here today?" Kind of thing. And they look to me for advice, how to go for an interview. If they have something to tell their mom, I get a lot of that, and they're scared to tell them. I think I'm the mom that's the cool mom, and they're I'll tell Dr. P, and then if she tell me something crazy, and I'm going to look okay. But most of the time, I just shoot it to you straight. I've always been around younger people. I think it keeps you young. I kind of know what the rap is or what's going on the street. I'd be like, "What's going on? I got a Snapchat about this." And they'd be like, "You got a Snapchat?" You'd be surprised how many of y'all tell on each other around here too. But it's one of those things where I can kind of keep my finger on you and make sure that you're okay. And when I don't know that you're okay, you know that I know something is wrong, because I'll ping you and be like, "What's going on? Gavin, tell me what's going on. You ain't acting right." Because I learn your personalities. And sometimes I just sit back and watch. And sometimes when I know you're doing something extra, I don't say anything, because I know that you're an adult, and I have to allow you to make a mistake so you can learn from it.
Okay.
And then when you're ready to talk to me about it, then I'll address it with you.
Okay. So would you say, so you said you were the cool mom. But you said you can okay, I can say that. But you said you said you can be strict if you need to be. Do you think that there's one side is better than the other, or do you think it's hard to find that balance?
Sometimes it's hard to find the balance, because at the same time I have to keep a professional relationship, because I am employed here. But sometimes I understand that that's not what you need. Sometimes you need an actual friend that's older than you to say, "This is not okay, and you cannot do this." And sometimes that voice helps. So I think I keep it very professional, but at the same time, students know that I care about them, and that I'm going to go to bat for them if something happens that I feel is wrong. But most of the time, a lot of students, when I found out something has happened, I say, "Well, what could you have done to make this better? What was your action in it?" Because I need you to recognize there's always two people. There's always a way to react to something. There's a way that you need to react to it. So how do you do that? How do you figure out what's your neutral? If you're having a problem with the professor, okay, let's talk about it. You can't change somebody else. The only thing you can do is change yourself. So what do you need to do to adapt to the situation? This person has your grade in their hands. So what is it that you need to do to fix it? Because I can call over there and talk. There are several professors I've had to call. "Hey, this is Brandii." And they be like, "What's wrong?" And I'd be like, "Such and such is calling. He's concerned about his grade. Well, he didn't show up for class 4 times last week." "Okay, thank you for letting me know. I don't need to know anything else." If there's a way I can help Me and Patrick, I've called him to ask him to help students with their businesses. When I'm trying to get something done, you just learn who you can depend on to kind of help you and fix things. But I definitely would say it's an even keel sometimes. Sometimes I let you be whoever you need to be for that moment. But if I see it's getting out of control, then I'm going to come here. And you know my face when I say come here. And it's different from like, oh, hey, what's going on? You know, if I'm playing with you, there's a specific way that I handle people. So,
okay. Pat, you got anything to add to that?
No, just, well, one, she's much hipper than me. I have to give up the hip stuff. I just, and part of that is I don't take myself all that seriously. So I think it makes me approachable, so I'm not like some, I'm this director, I want to make it as inviting as possible for students to and feel comfortable talking to me. And so that's part of not taking myself too seriously. But, the thing is that while I'm easygoing, I'm also a professional. And what I find is my mission here is student success. And the pathway to success is teaching every student how to be a professional. And there's everybody that covers every career that's out there. And you learn professionalism, you're going to be successful. You're going to get the most out of your talents. And that just, kind of keeps me engaged and trying everything possible to help the students. Because just like Brandii, I care, so it's like I'll go the extra mile. The student has, gosh, I've invested so much in every new student that has a business. I'm going to buy something. And part of that is I get to know what they're about and everything. And it goes right on down the line. So that's that's why we're both here. Yeah. People like you, Gavin. Yeah. No, really. Yeah. Do you have anything? Or?
Are you crying?
Emotional?
Okay.
Well, no, but the dramatic change of subject.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
You are president-elect of the Arkansas Association of Student Assistants. So that's AASA?
Yes, ASAP. That's what we call it. Yep,
oh,
ASAP.
okay. There
That's
we go.
what we call it.
So what kind of tell us about the role and the association?
So ASAP is a part of SWASAP, Big Bad SWASAP, which is the Southwestern Association. Basically the same thing as ASAP. ASAP is just Arkansas.
Right.
So it's makes up several different trio programs here. Arkansas, it's a small state. We have more programs than most, states ever. We have more money in our state that actually is used by the Department of Education tax dollars, federal dollars. And so basically we're here to support those trio professionals. We have professional development for them. We do Trio Day, which is coming up on May 2nd at Arkansas State. But it's basically to come together and figure out what we can do to make things better for our students, programming wise, outreach wise, how we can help them, things that we need to do as professionals to keep ourselves together. Sometimes our mental health is just as important because we do have to hear about things that, will take your breath away and you have to really fix your face. A student came in when I first started working here and she said, "Hey, Dr. P," she said, "my mom blew the house up cooking meth. But we're getting a new house. My dad will tell me when I get out." And my face had to stay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It stayed just as straight. I said, "Are you okay? Is your mom okay?" She's like, "Yes, ma'am." And I was like, "All right." I said, "Well, thanks for letting me know. When you get that address, come back." But it's things like that I can't react to.
Yeah.
I can't be like, "Oh, my God, what do you mean?" And that's what I was thinking. Like, my heart melted because I was like, where are you all living? How are you making it? Are you going to be at school tomorrow? Those are the things that I'm thinking about.
Right.
But these are the kind of situations my kids are in. My kids are in situations where they don't know if their parents are going to show up.
Right.
They don't know where their next meal is coming from sometimes. It's one of those things where it's just hard. And we have to figure it out. And that's what we basically do. And sometimes that will require me to call other professionals, be like, hey, got this situation. What do you think? Do you know anybody? What can I do?
Well, those professional associations are great because you can trade best practices.
Definitely.
You have somebody that's in your shoes in a different institution, and they may have that great idea you've been searching for. And I've been involved in a whole bunch of different ones over the years. And
I was really surprised that I won.
So it was a tough.
It is kind of tough election.
Tough campaign. Okay,
it is.
Was there any ballot stuffing?
Yes, I did. No, but what I did is I made like candy bags and I made push cards with all of my accolades in Trio. And I stapled them and put them together and put them in the actual bags, the giveaway bags, or their, what do you call it? I guess your conference gift. And I put it in there, and so people saw it. Right. And then, while I was there, I was like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Brandii Peterson. It's great to meet you. I would love for you to vote for me. I want to take us to the next level," kind of thing. So, I've never won an election ever that I've ever done. Like literally from elementary school on up, I've never won one until now. Yeah,
so you hit the lottery.
I did. I was so proud of myself. But I was kind of sad. The guy that I was running against, dropped out when he found out I was running.
Really?
He did. And that's what everybody said. You are very intimidating, Brandii. Like you are. I presented at every conference we've had since I've joined Trio, since I've been here at Lyon. I always present. So you're the director. Now what? Mm-hmm. Like you think about this stuff. You want to apply. You want to be a director. But what are you going to do when you get the job? Mm-hmm. Are you going to do the same things that you've been doing? Right. Are you going to try to change the program for the better? When you think about how old these programs are, they're 50 and 60 years old. Nobody wants to do the same thing people were doing 50 years ago. The students have changed just during COVID. Yeah. Our kids are completely different. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to communicate well because they've been like closed off. They want to text all the time. It's so funny. I'm like, put your phone down. We're having family time. Yeah. Family time. So, and they get sick of me saying that. But like little stuff, when people come around, I don't know, I'll be like, stranger danger, stranger danger. Yeah. And they be like, what is that? I said, when strangers come around, you start saying stranger danger so that I know you need help. Right. So it's just teaching them things like that and making it fun. I remember my childhood was fun. We had McGruff and Smokey the Bear. Yeah. They don't know any of these people. No.
Kids these days.
I know, right? They were the best. Like you had good stuff on TV to like help you be a safety person. Mm-hmm. So all kids were like safety people. You had McGruff, he was the safety dog and taught you how to. He worked with the police, and you were like, okay.
Is Smokey even Smokey?
Smokey the Bear?
Didn't they change it to a fox?
No, he's still out.
I thought they changed it. Oh, okay.
What's the fox name?
They're rumoring that like Smokey, like can't use Smokey. They can't use the name Smokey or some because
Smokey, because that's what it was, a forest fire. Yeah. He was like to protect you against forest fires.
That might be a Google search.
That's going to be a search for.
I guess so.
Kind of one thing occurred to me or a question to ask on Apple and UBMS. They're federally funded, so it's a grant.
Yes,
and that's through the Department of Education. Politics being what they are, does that kind of depending on where things go, does that change like your funding source?
So
that seems
no,
uncertain.
But it can. Yeah. So my funding is 5 years. So once I sign, that money is gone. Yeah. But what can change is they can increase it or decrease it during the year. So every year, during the year, they can say, oh, next year you missing 4%. Like we got a 4% increase last year.
Yeah.
But what we do is COE, which is our community educational partners, they have this thing called policy seminar every year. I'm going this year. We go during spring break and we march on Washington. We meet all the congressional partners, sit down and talk to them on why TRIO is important.
Yeah.
Why we need to keep funding these programs. They've cut a lot of educational Department of Education funding over the last few years. TRIO is one program that they have not cut. They know that it's a need. Many of them are first-gen low-income students.
Perfect, yeah.
So it really helps them to understand. They've come from small rural areas. Tom Cotton is from a small area. Yes, he is a Yale or Harvard graduate, but he's from, I think, Dumas or one of those smaller countries.
Yeah.
I mean, cities.
Yeah.
And so he understands the need. So we sit down and we meet with the congressional partners and talk to them about, you know, what our needs are, what's going on. Our students write letters to them to say how much they appreciate them for keeping TRIO going. If it wasn't for TRIO, they would probably be selling drugs or at home or doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. So the political climate is pretty crazy right now, but at the same time, we look forward to going to the March on Capitol and sitting down and having a conversation with them.
So that's going to be like
in a couple of weeks. I leave for Washington. Yes, I leave on the 15th, and I'm there literally all week. And we go over like leadership techniques. We have a book called, it's our TRIO book for the state of Arkansas. It lists all of the grants, all of the programs, all of the money that they receive in the state of Arkansas and how we're serving those students. So it really helps.
Well done.
Yes. So Apple and UBMS are the only UB programs in this district.
Yeah.
So it helps for our congressman to know that we did bagels with Bruce Westerman. He always has like little cute stuff, and we sit down and talk to him. So meeting Congress people and state reps, it really just supports what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Gavin, anything?
I guess we can move on and talk about the Black Student Association that you and Corey are advisors to.
Yes. So I guess it's been 3 years now, or maybe 2. No, it's been 3. 3 years now that Dr. Tavener approached me about being an advisor for the Black Student Association. The Black Student Association has been around. The advisor was no longer advising, and she asked me and Corey to step in and kind of help. I've always been in student organizations. When I was in college, I was in student government at Southern, Women's Federation. So I've always been a component for people doing student programming and that kind of thing. So Black Student Association, it just naturally came to me. I love what I saw the students doing, but I wanted to increase their vision or what they were actually able to do. And also for people not to just know that they're here, but also to see them, like to see the programming that they do. So we kind of started off, the MLK program was our first program that we really put on that was super big here. I was super nervous about it. Gavin, you were a part of the MLK program. Some of the young men recited the Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech, which was amazing. Things went really well. They were on the front page of the newspaper here in Batesville. And today we just had our second one. So we're trying to make things happen. We have our Black Student Gala is on March 9th. So right now we're just looking for funding. I'm really having to tap into my advancement life, which is not as good as it can be, but just reaching out to donors to see if they can sponsor tables. Because the point is so that students don't have to pay for tickets. We want the students to come for free and enjoy themselves, but also have parents to come and other people in the community so they can see what we're doing here at Lyon.
Oh, man, it's awesome. One thing, when you talked about Tyler Perry, I got all starstruck. So I was like, I started going off on that. But you before coming here, you were with Goodwill.
Goodwill Industries of Arkansas.
And I think most people think of Goodwill as, dropping off, used clothes and all that. But it's so much more than that.
Goodwill is so much more than that. So Goodwill is like, you've been to one Goodwill, you've been to one Goodwill. Goodwill Industries of Arkansas is the only Goodwill company in the state of Arkansas. That is very advantageous of them because most states have it split. They'll have like a Goodwill of Louisiana and maybe a Goodwill of New Orleans. So they're split up. But Arkansas actually owns the entire state of Arkansas. And so They have 27 career centers where people could go in, and they had computers where they could look for jobs. We would host hiring events. Also, companies would come in and they would host where they would take interviews and interview people right on the spot and hire them. We were really big in helping with the recidivism rate here in Arkansas. I've gone into prisons to talk to people that are going to be released soon as to what is their plans. Like, it's almost like, I ask my college students, what is your plan when you leave here? Same principle. When you're in prison, what are you going to do? Like, what is going to be your next step to make sure this doesn't happen again? When I left Goodwill, ours was at 9%, which is really good. The state as a whole is only at 3%, but all of our people.
Meaning what?
9% meaning 9% of the total people that we helped did not go back into the system.
Oh, okay.
And so we were able to really help. And I know that doesn't sound like a big number, but a lot of times when you don't have any other training, you go back to what you know. And so reentry is hard, and my heart goes out to a lot of people, especially second chance employers, to give someone a second chance to really know how to do that. I've spent a lot of time talking to my students, asking them, and I call them my students because when I worked at Goodwill, they were students as well. Explain your charges. That's super hard, and you wouldn't think it's hard. They'd be like, oh, well, I sold drugs. No, explain to me what happened. And they can say, well, I was out going to pick up milk for my daughter, and I had drugs in my car, but I thought I got rid of them, but they were still there. The police pulled me over. I had a weigher in my car, so I got not only drugs but contraband, all of these things, and it was my second time getting it caught, so I went down for it. Okay, so you're a salesman. That's what I have to take out of it. So you know how to sell things. Okay. So I have to call second chance employers. We would call them. I would have meetings with them. Basically, the way Goodwill worked is we would pay for them to go and work somewhere for 6 weeks. And if you like them, you can keep them and they'll transition to your payroll. If you don't like them, they come right back with me and I find them another place.
So it's
it's a win-win situation. You get free work, for free labor for 6 weeks to see if this person is going to be somebody that jails, if they're going to have some habits that I need to be aware of. So I did that when I first started there, just kind of transitioned into the career centers, training my career specialist how to go out and have conversations with second chance employers, how to have a regular conversation with somebody hiring, how we can make their hiring experience easier. You go out, people spend millions of dollars to hire people. Robert Half is a big company that spends millions of dollars. What they don't spend, they get millions of dollars to hire people for other companies. Well, Goodwill is free. We'll do it for you for free.
Yeah, and it takes a special kind of employer too. I was involved in the special needs community in Atlanta, and there were a lot of employers the same way. You have Publix, Kroger, the hospitals, Home Depot, and they have to make certain accommodations for those individuals to be successful. Yes.
And we have those programs. Goodwill has that too. We have disability programs, and where we're taking students and teaching them how to live on their own, how to go on an interview, and sometimes accompanying with them, but understanding how to put your best foot forward, what that looks like. So Goodwill definitely really raised me in the manner of understanding what people go through and having that emotional connection to understand what it takes to keep them out there and keep families together. And so working there and then having my background working at Job Corps, which is very different. Job Corps is like high school 2.0. So, people come there, they get a trade, got high school diploma, GED. We have kids that are sent there by the state. Parents can't control them anymore. Sometimes just needing to be in a different environment because the environment they're in is bad. It's so very different. And I was a residential counselor, so I had 75 boys that I was responsible for. And I mean, the boys knew when they saw me coming, they'd be like, Miss P coming. They clean up, straighten up. I remember I broke up a fight and tore my ACL. And the minute that I got kicked, the boys were like, Miss P is hurt. Stop. And they literally the boys that was fighting stopped fighting. They was trying to help me get off the floor. It was so bad.
Oh, man.
But the respect level they had for me was unmatched, because literally they stopped and was like, she's hurt, like for real, like y'all stop and like to get it together. But
wow,
I've thoroughly enjoyed, working with kids, working with adults, getting people on the right career path. And, I appreciate you for having a career services here, because that was something we had it at college, but it wasn't like for real. Like they usually just do like internships or externships, and so people be gone for a semester kind of thing, but nothing like to really rehab you and get you ready for while you're in school you could be doing this to get better kind of thing. It would never be anything that's more so here to support them.
Well, thank you. One thing just to wrap up, this is a Career Pathways podcast, and so Brandii, what career advice would you want to give to current Lyon students, prospective Lyon students? Kind of, what parting words would you tell them in terms of how to manage their college career and their career after college?
Enjoy college. And college was the best years of my life. Enjoy it. Don't wait till your senior year to start preparing for adulting.
Amen.
Adulting, I don't even know how to say it any other way, but it's ghetto. It's not cute. It's not fancy. It's not the life of the rich and famous. Like, there will be days. I remember my first real job. I could not even afford regular stuff. I used to live to work for my paycheck because I used to go to Texas Roadhouse and they had a steak, salad, and a baked potato for $9.99. I had $10 and literally I would go rent a movie, because we rented movies. Blockbuster is my area zone. So we would go rent a movie and I would go home and watch the movie probably 3 or 4 times to get my money out of it. Yep. But that was my life. Like, it is not easy being on your own. There will be days you will cry and be like, I don't know what I was thinking about. But keep moving forward. Keep trying. Keep seeing your goals. Figure out how to make them work. Your 20s are not going to be what you think they are. Your 20s are not full of parties and stuff. Your 20s are trying to really figure out who you are. People always say, oh, in college, you figure out who you are. No, you don't. That's kicking it. That's like right before it hits you. Fun time, and then it hits you, and you're like, whoa, I'm broke. I can't sleep on my mom's couch anymore because she's expecting you to be an adult. They're expecting you to go out and figure the world out at this point. You're educated. Go be educated. But that's easier said than done. So I would say definitely, enjoy while you're here. Get ready before you leave. And then just be steadfast and don't fall apart when the hard times hit, because they are coming.
Well, no better way to close out this podcast. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Oh, absolutely. So this is Pat Lynch, and before we wrap up, we always have the whole crew say goodbye.
See you.
And goodbye.
Wait, say something, Jayson. Way in the back.
Peace out, guys.
Okay, Jason's peacing out. So thank you all for listening to this podcast. Please stay tuned. We always have a weekly podcast with a lot of other interesting guests. Once again, thank you, Brandii.
Yes.
It was long overdue, and it was well worth it.
Yes, and shameless plug, if you have anybody out there that's interested in being a part of the Apple UB program or UBMS program, please feel free to give me a call or stop by my office. My information is located on the Lyon website. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Goodbye.
This broadcast is sponsored in part by Lyon College and by KILT Studios.
This is a nice little setup.
Yeah.
You should have seen it when we first started.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't this.
Nah, mainly, but nobody cared what it really looked like because it was mainly just radio. So it was just
They're installing a door in the campus safety.
Was it a campus safety person or
No,
okay.
just some contractor? And,
We need to wait. Like, you don't run nothing up here. See, you be nice about stuff. I'd be like, look, turn that off. We're not doing that today. It's so bad. Don't nobody come tell me that because they know I go all the way. And I'd be like, no. My kids are doing stuff. You need to put whatever you're doing down.
Yeah.